Jeff, we were wondering about the purple drink. Is it just grape flavored, or what's with the purple every day?
I'm not really sure. I would imagine it's some kind of blueberry in there.
Okay.
I'm guessing. I just, just trying to be a little smarter what I eat.
Jeff, how'd the guys look today coming back?
We were good. We were really good. You can tell they're focused, angry, disappointed. But told them I had good news and I had bad news. I mean, it's the fourth time I've got to speak to them after conference. Only one time we've ever had a winning record going into conference. So, unfortunately, we're pretty good at being bad in non-conference, and we're pretty good at being good in conference. And we've got to be able to really evaluate ourselves as a coaching staff first, and as players next, and make the necessary adjustments to get going in Temple.
How would you characterize the overall health of the team coming out of the open week here?
We're not bad. We're not. We expect to get, a few kids back in the mix. And, coming off of this game compared to Texas game last year, we're way better off. And we've got a bye week. So, obviously, we've got some offensive line issues that we've been addressing throughout the year. But we should get, a couple of those guys back, which will help our depth. And maybe it'll move some positions around. We'll see. Be getting JT back in the mix, at receiver. That'll be a big addition. And we'll see how well Frank moves around throughout the week, and expect him to be able to go as well.
Yeah, what's your impression with Frank, and how likely it is that he'll be able to go at full speed?
I'm not sure if we'll see him at full speed again this year, but I think there's a good chance he'll be good enough.
And I think you mentioned on the radio with JT that this was a game that in a lot of ways you guys were targeting coming through the process. How much was that part of the plan, and how on target are you with that?
I'd say we'll know more after the game, but he's going to be out there and he's going to play. So I think we'll know more when he's out there.
Do you guys have like a snap count in mind, or how do you approach that?
It's just so hard to tell. And if I did, I sure wouldn't tell Temple.
You guys have had your bye week late in the season, and then this year it's kind of relatively early. Which do you enjoy more, or what's your thoughts on having the bye week this week?
I think it just depends on your year. Mm-hmm. Like if you're really hot and you're healthy, you never want a bye week to show up, right? But if you're beat up and not doing so well, it's not a better time in the world for a bye week to show up. This one being so early and us struggling still in so many areas, I think it's a perfect time for us to continue to practice like we did today. Whereas the last 3 years, I've given them pretty much off for a week because we've been going for all fall camp plus 8 straight games. So it's just different. I think it just depends. And I think this year it's the first time we've caught a scheduling break. I don't think we've caught a scheduling break. And it's not like I'm saying all 4 of those teams we beat are all top 10 in the country, but it's just the way the schedule fell. We haven't caught like a break, and we're a team that has needed some breaks, and we haven't gotten them yet. So we've got to be better, obviously, but we need some of those breaks to come our way too.
Jeff, what's your evaluation of the defense? Just overall, 2 really good games and then 2 not so good games. How do you balance that?
Yeah, I challenged them. I mean, Tennessee, there were a couple of alignment problems early in the game that were very disappointing. But that was the most unbelievable team we were going to play, I hope ever. But they were special. The Army game is the one now that 2 weeks in a row we've not been able to stop the run, and that's concerning. So when the season's over, we're going to be able to look back and go, was that an anomaly, or is that who we are? And it don't matter. Get better, and we got to get better.
And then on the offensive side of the ball, it looked like the tide was starting to turn in week 2 before Frank went down. What do you guys got to do to just kick things up on that side of the ball?
I think there are some good things there, but we got to reevaluate who our players are and do a better job of getting them the ball in certain areas. And we've got to get better, as a staff. I'm not making excuses, but it is what it is. He's our 3rd offensive coordinator in 3 years, and we adjust our whole staff. I don't go out and hire the new sexy name that everybody in the media tells you to hire. It's not good for my kids. So it takes a little time to adjust for all of us because we all have new roles, and we're getting better each week. And I know our fan base is very used to seeing us being more productive, and I understand their frustration. Their head coach shares the same frustration. As a matter of fact, I get up Sunday morning feeling guilty as heck because I lost my temper with Greg up there and was a smart aleck. And of course the sermon was on how to never, ever be offended. And the way to never be offended is you never speak to anybody in public if you're in one of these 4 conditions. The acronym was HALT. You should always halt before you speak in public. If you're hungry, which I was starving because I was just can't eat before the game hardly, or you're angry, which I was extremely angry, or you're lonely. I doubt I'm ever lonely. I've got a bunch of good friends and family, but I sure as hell felt lonely. Or you're tired. So I went back and reevaluated. I was hungry, I was angry, I felt lonely, I was tired, and I didn't halt when Greg set me up with his question, which was very deserving. It was a very good question, nothing wrong with the question, just a terrible answer by the head coach. So no matter what happens from now on, man, I'm gonna halt before I respond to you fellas.
Jeff, on the offense,
And why does that sermon have to show up? Right? I mean,
Lord's timing, right?
yeah.
right at me.
Jeff, on the offense, I know with all due respect to the guys that are here this season, a lot of people have been expecting like the record-setting offense from the last 2 seasons. There's some injuries there too as well. Is it just a different season this year?
I think there's a lot of things, but you have to look at each week, each chapter of the book differently. I mean, go back and take off your fanboy and watch the Houston game, and you're gonna see a lot of really good football out there. And you're gonna see us have 3 turnovers and bog down the red zone. You're gonna be like, what is that? Then the next week you're gonna see us get going against Texas State, and then all of a sudden we get an injury. Kid comes out there and John Wayne's that sucker and gets us through the game, but you could just tell what that was. Game 3, we played really well on offense. We couldn't get the ball back. And then game 4, we had a lot of 3 and outs, a lot of frustration. Like, we really thought first play of the game, and y'all probably thinking, what is that? But we really thought we could double team that one technique and bust them on the inside zone. And that guy split our double team right in half. And we just got whipped at the point of attack so many times. So, but it doesn't matter. We got to get better. We got to be better as a staff. We got to get our players the ball in space better.
Is there anything that's particularly surprised you going through the non-conference season that you would say you learned about this team that you might not have expected?
We've handled adversity a lot better than I thought we were going to. I mean, I've never doubted my kids ever, but if you'd told me we were going to be 1-3 and down 31-0 at halftime, and come back out there and go 14-14 in the second half, I would have said, I don't know how we could pull that off. If you'd have told me we were going to come back here 1-3 in a bye week, and my kids are as locked in as they are and ready to go and professionals, we got an amazing group of kids. That's how we're going to battle out of this. We're going to battle out of this thing because those kids in those seats right behind y'all, they believe in the triangle, and we believe in them, and we're going to fix this thing. I don't know what that's going to mean, wins and loss records, but we're going to look better. We're going to put a better product on the field.
What do you tell the players about dealing with some of that criticism that's out there? Is it avoid it or embrace it and be motivated by it?
You try, but it's just impossible. You can't use your phone. I mean, and I don't even, when people tag me those terrible messages, and your alerts come up, and you don't even look at it, but you just see it, like how stupid you are, how dumb you are. I mean, or 42 of your best friends send you Bible verses about don't listen to the criticism, you're not as bad as they say you are. Well, you're putting 2 and 2 together, like, well, they must be trashing me really bad right now, or you're, you can't. Like a while ago, the Devil, that Charlie Daniels band came on to the radio, and that's one of my favorite songs. The Devil went down to Georgia, and I was singing every word of the song. JT was like, man, what kind of music do you even listen to, Coach? And I said, during the season, it's literally just 63 on those serious, just Christian music only, because you just can't listen to anything else. I mean, if you get on 80, 81, 83, 84, 88, someone's calling you dumb. And you just got to stay off of it. So my suggestion to them, the best they can, is just stay off of it. Because the truth's somewhere in the middle. We're not as great as everybody thinks we are, and we're not as bad as everybody says we are. And you know, when you're alone, this was in the sermon too, when you're alone, be careful of your thoughts. And when you're with people, be careful with your words. And my kids got to be careful with their thoughts when they're alone, if they start listening to all that stuff.
Do you see the 1-3 record more as some of injuries and strength of competition and all that, or are there things that you target that you say we have to look at, can we make changes here?
No, that's what that video is so great. You know, if the world had to live like a football coach and a football team, the world would be a lot better place. I mean, because we're out there to be evaluated, and it's fair. And we put some bad stuff on video, but it's on video. So as a coach, you got to decide player, change the player, or change the scheme. I mean, you got to figure it out as a coach. There's no in between. That's what I'm hired to do, and we're gonna get that done.
Are those any of those like drastic changes, or do you think it's pretty small things that you guys can fix up in a week or two?
It's small. We're not far away. It's never as bad as you think. It's never as good. And it doesn't matter. We gotta get better. And all those things you are saying are all a factor. But at the end of the day, nobody cares. I mean, you got a job to do, and we're going to be evaluated on how many wins we have and how many losses we have at the end of the year. That's the facts of the matter.
Jeff, I know it's early. There hasn't been a lot of conference games, but just what's your overall take on how strong this conference is looking early in the season?
I hadn't looked up. I couldn't tell you one team's record and maybe in the country other than mine. And I just have only looked at us and Temple. And haven't looked up. Not going to. I'm going to stay. The only thing that matters to me, JJ, is the Roadrunners. And that's where all my attention and time goes. And I didn't even know the Cowboys lost until you told me. And the Saints I try to keep up with, but even then I don't even know really. I heard they were up 17-0, and they didn't win, so I knew my son's going to be in a bad way. And that's tough when you blow a 17-0 lead. So I really don't know about the conference because it doesn't matter. Like, I know the order of all of them, I can tell you that much, as far as who we play in order. But I don't know, like, I know my advanced scouts are on UAB, so I know we're got them next. But other than that, I really don't know. What does it matter? The only thing that matters is us and who we're fixing to play. So it does me no good to waste time worrying about things I cannot control.
This Tennessee matchup was the first time you were critical of the offensive line play. Looking back, was it just a tough opponent, or are there some things that were missing in terms of what you guys did internally?
There's a couple of protections we put them in I regret. You remember, I don't want to get too specific, but yeah, there was a couple of times where we put them in bad situations I regret, but some of it we just got physically whipped. The speed and the power were just too much, but we should have done some things to help our kids better. I regret that.
How's that group looking from a health standpoint? I know there's been depth issues early in the season there.
We expect to get Ben Rios back. We expect to get Payne Bear back. And Mikal will still be a little bit away.
Yeah.
And Dan Dishman's not far, but I don't think he'll be ready.
What about Buffalo?
He's getting closer.
Yeah.
He's getting closer. He is. And excited for Buffalo. He's a great kid.
Go
ahead.
I was going to say, in the long term there, do you see further shuffling there, or do you think it's going to be Ernesto at tackle and Luke at center?
Luke played well. He was one of the highlights of the game. Luke and Ernesto both played well. Now, the very first play of the game, Luke didn't play well, and he regrets that. But Luke stepped up. That was one of the concerns we had going into the game, but we left feeling really good about Luke matching up against some really good people. It's the first time we just got, whipped, honestly. And out of our 4 games, we've been really good at running the football. And I think our backs ran hard. We just didn't give them a lot of great chances.
Jeff, the last 2 games we've seen extensive play from the backup quarterbacks. Is the silver lining that you've seen what you could see out of your backups? Does UTSA have a good future there?
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the highlights is that we know we have 2 quarterbacks. We saw Eddie move the ball for 4 quarters against Army, and we saw Owen move the ball for 2 quarters against Tennessee. So we feel good about both those kids. I've been telling y'all that. I've always felt good about both those kids.